Hello, everyone. I'm not sure what we say now. Instead of thanks for coming, I guess thanks for watching my talk. My name is Alba Garcia De La Chica, and today I will present some results of my doctoral dissertation research that I recently completed at the University of Barcelona in Spain. Specifically, I want to discuss the evidence that suggests that loss of the father, not the mother, reduces infant survival in a pair-living sexually monogamous primate, the old monkeys of Argentina. The presentation is based on research that I have been doing as part of the Old Monkey Project, where I'm currently a postdoctoral fellow. So there is an incredible diversity in animal social systems, and this variation is present between and within species. Over the decades, authors have proposed a systematic way of studying the different elements of animals' social systems. An effective way is decomposing it in 4 elements. I focus my research on the study of the evolutionary mechanisms that regulate a social system that is relatively infrequent in mammals. This social system includes animals that live in pairs, where the 2 adults in the group have a durable emotional attachment with each other, that mate monogamously, and where both adults take care of the young. In all types of social system, there are disruptions that generate social instability. In fact, there has been a vast body of research in multi-male and multi-female societies that have associated this instability, such as the immigration of new males, with lower infant survival. But the implications of changes in group composition in pair-living taxa are likely very different. In pair-living species, the replacement of one of the reproducing adults can influence infant survival both through the effects of group instability and the loss of one parent. And of course, the replacement of one parent can be particularly influential on infant survival if the parent replaced is the one that provides care. And the survival of newborns is associated with receiving care from at least one of the parents in many taxa, and definitely in all mammals. In the case of mammals, because of the characteristics of their reproductive biology, like internal fertilization, providing care is usually constrained to the mother. For the mammal mother, with unequivocal maternity certainty, the cost of pregnancy and lactation, as well as additional care, likely result in direct fitness benefits through the survival of her young. But what about biparental care systems? Because especially in mammal taxa, there is mother certainty, but there can never be 100% father certainty. So explaining male care in mammals has been a huge puzzle in evolutionary biology. It is yet to be understood what are the factors that promote that a male decides to stay with one female and provide care to an offspring he can never be completely sure is his, instead of trying to maximize the number of females he can mate with and save the costly resources and energy that infant care involves. In my work, I evaluated the role of paternal care using wild monkeys as a biological model, since they offer an excellent system for understanding the mechanisms that facilitate paternal care, pair-living, and sexual monogamy. Likewise, I will present you 2 field studies that I conducted to explore the adaptive value of paternal care in all monkeys. Our monkeys are small, arboreal, and the only nocturnal primates of Latin America. They can be found from Panama to North Argentina, where I conducted my research, and in this part of their distribution, the monkeys are not strictly nocturnal but cathemeral, which means that they present activity during the night, but also during the day. Along their distribution, all monkeys are always found in small groups composed of an heterosexual couple, 1 or 2 smaller individuals, and an infant. And as you can see more or less here in the picture, males and females do not show any apparent sexual dimorphism, either in size or coloration. Both sexes disperse when they are between 3 and 5 years of age, which is more or less when they also reach sexual maturity. These groups are territorial, and as you can see here in the map I'm showing you here, this is our study area, and this represents the home ranges of the groups we regularly monitor. And as you can see, the area is pretty saturated. A fascinating aspect of our monkeys is the intensive involvement of the male in infant care. Males are the principal carrier of infants after the first week of life of them, and also play, groom, and share food with them more frequently than females do. And when I tell you that I study wild monkeys and show you beautiful pictures, I don't want you to misunderstand the difficulties that these animals present to us in the field. So I want to show you what we see there. Here we can see an infant, and here a watch that is giving his first steps around the tree. And I don't think you may see it very well, but here we have his father, who remains in proximity, pretty vigilant to what the infant is doing. So we have a pair-living primate that is sexually monogamous and that has biparental care. So why? What are the mechanisms promoting that all monkey males care for infants? What kind of fitness benefits is the male getting? Several studies have focused on evaluating different mechanisms to explain how male mammals can obtain fitness benefits through paternal care. For example, some studies have focused on males' inclusive fitness by evaluating differences in male investment depending on his degree of kinship with those infants. In the case of indirect mechanisms, it has been proposed that males could provide infant care in order to alleviate the energetic burden of females so that she's able to invest more energy in future reproductive efforts with that male. This has been mainly studied under the hypothesis of maternal relief. So if that were the case, one would expect lactating females dedicating more time to feeding and resting if their babies are being taken care of. To answer this question, I collected data in 8 pairs with infants and 5 pairs without infants, and I evaluated the percentage of time that these pairs spent foraging, moving, resting, and socializing. And I did this 2 months before and after the birth of an infant. And as we can see here, there is variation in the data, and there is variation in the time males and females spent on each activity when the infant was present. Although overall, no remarkable differences can be appreciated. And when we compare the activity budgets of females with infants and without infants, we can still appreciate the variation in the data, but as before, not remarkable differences can be appreciated. Of course, we have a sample size that does not allow for any further interpretation and have the potential biological relevance of the small differences we observed. So I'm still in the field collecting more data in order to understand if providing care is a mechanism that male monkeys implement to obtain any fitness benefit. As we try to understand the mechanisms that facilitate paternal care, pair-living, and sexual monogamy in natural settings, it is always a challenge to gather evidence on how the system changes when disrupted. Luckily, the old monkeys of Argentina offer some remarkable opportunities for examining what happens when there is social instability. This is because they naturally give us these disrupting conditions where one member of the pair disappears, a system where the biological mother or father disappears from the group. And I should not say disappear, I should say when they are kicked out from the groups. The population from Argentina, the social organization of all monkeys, includes pairs, but also a substantial number of potentially reproductive individuals, about 25–30%, that do not belong to a pair, but instead range solitarily in the periphery of established groups for a variable period of time. We call them floaters, and they are either young adults who have been recently dispersed from the natal groups, or relatively old adults that have been evicted from the groups where they already had or hold a breeding position. In 25 years, we have never observed the formation of a new pair by 2 solitaries. Instead, the only option to get a reproductive position seems to be through the replacement of a resident adult. These replacements occur at similar rates for males and females, so both sexes experience high levels of reproductive competition. And still, despite these levels of competition, we have a system that presents genetic monogamy. Male and female monkeys do not cheat. So this very rare system where we have pairs and floaters and replacements but still generating monogamy has allowed me to evaluate what happens with infants when their biological father, the main caregiver in this species, is replaced by a new male. So to answer this question, I examined 25 years of data and 51 replacement events to compare the age of death or disappearance of infants in different social stability conditions. I evaluated the age of death or disappearance. From now on, I will only say death of 149 young individuals from 22 different groups. I used a linear model to evaluate how the presence of unrelated adults predicted the variation of age at death. So in order to do so, I evaluated two explanatory variables. First, who were the adults present in the group during the first year of life of the infants, and who were the adults after that first year of life, during the years 2 and 3. The reason to consider these variables independently is because males and females provide direct care to their offspring at least until they are 8 months old. And because we have never observed a monkey dispersed before 2.2 years old, so we consider this first year as a critical threshold that needs to be evaluated separately. I classified the adults in the group in 5 different ways. Those situations where both biological parents were there, situations when a new male came in, so the biological father was no longer in the group, situations where a new female came in, so the biological mother was no longer in the group, situations where we know that at least the biological father was there, but we don't know the identity of the female, and situations where we know that the biological mother was there, but we don't know the identity of the male. So let me show you what I found. Here we can see the age of death depending who was in the group during the first year of life of the individuals. And here we have this ideal situation of both biological parents or the biological father or the biological mother. And as you can see, like pretty equal, so nothing surprising around here. And now let me show you what happened with those infants that experienced the replacement of their mother. And especially, let me show you what happened with those infants that experienced the replacement of their father. So my data clearly indicates that infants died at a younger age following the replacement of their biological father. And given the mean age of death when a new male joins the group, it is extremely unlikely that any of these infants would have survived on their own. When statistically comparing among all the possible configurations of adults present in groups, I found that the larger effect sizes were those that included the new male. And here you can see what happened with infants if the replacement occurred after the first year of life of individuals, after this critical period of development. And as you can see, there are no remarkable differences among all the configurations. And lastly, I evaluated the relationship between the age of death and the age of individuals when the replacement of their parents occurred. Here you can see what happened when the mother was replaced. Overall, older infants were less likely to die than young ones. And I want you to focus on this red circle here in the transition to the next slide. Because now what you see is the relationship between these two variables if it was the father who was replaced. And you can see smaller ages at death. And in fact, the predictive equations based on the data indicated a flatter slope when mothers were replaced than when fathers were. So what have we learned? What are the take-home messages? We know that the replacement of breeding adults has negative effects on infant survival in all monkeys. And this effect depends on the sex of the new individual. Specifically, we know that the replacement of the biological father leads to infants dying younger. We know that there is no direct aggression toward infants, no by new individuals, no by their parents. And we know that infants do not immediately die when a new male joins the group. So I propose that this relationship may be better explained by the effect of male care. And it seems that in our monkeys, this male care may be a form of parenting effort, and that males would only invest in their own biological infants. Thank you to a new set of genetic analysis, I am analyzing behavioral data on biological and steppe male infant diets. And preliminary results seem to point out that biological fathers groom and spend more time in close proximity to their offspring than stepfathers. If you remember the video, these are clumsy infants that need to learn how to move independently in a canopy tree that is 25 meters from the ground. So the simple act of maintaining proximity and being able to promptly react to any signal of distress can be of great biological relevance in this species. And what we want to examine next is how do the characteristics of the pair bond are associated with breakups and infant survival? Or how does the territory shape food availability or even operational sex ratios, and how is this related with replacement and infant development? And how female reproductive biology and status influences the survival of her offspring. We look forward to keep incorporating knowledge and methods from other systems in order to keep advancing in our understanding of the evolution of pair living, sexual monogamy, and paternal care. With this, I would like to thank you, everyone involved in our research. Thank you.